Welcome back in this lesson 4.2 to Sir with Love. In this lesson, you've seen that the introduction of the lesson, characters, theme of the novel, synopsis of the extract, that is what you learned. Now, the second one paragraph. Miss Joseph and Denham, both students of Braithwaite's class, preside over the meeting. At outset, Mr. Florian, the headmaster, addressed the meeting with a lengthy but well-received presentation. One after another, each class gave a brief report of their class, both their chosen representative, on what they have been studying in each subject so far. So Mrs. Joseph and Denham, that the students from the Braithwaite class, they preside over the meetings, and Mrs. Florian, the headmaster of this school, Greenslade, and addressed to the students given the lengthy lecture with them, and well received their presentation also. The one after one, the each class give their report of their progress and chosen presentation on what they are studying each subject so far. तर मिसेस जोसेफ्स अँड हे डेनहॅम हे ब्रेथवेस क्लासमधले मुलं होते. त्यांनी ती मीटिंग पर्टिक्युलरली हँडल केली होती. मिस्टर फ्लोरिन हा हेडमास्टर होता. त्यांनी मुलांना मार्गदर्शन चांगल्या पद्धतीने केलं आणि ते प्रेझेंटेशन पण चांगलं होतं. तर एकामागोमाग सगळे क्लास त्यांचा जो रिपोर्ट होता वर्षभरातला तो सादर करत होते आणि ते वर्षभरात काय शिकलेत त्याचा सगळा अहवाल ते त्या मीटिंगमध्ये ते सांगत होते. अ पॅनल ऑफ टीचर of chosen for each class answered any question regarding the report submitted by the class. So if any such kind of the questions and answer may be asked, the teacher can be answer that. तर ज्यावेळेस त्या टीचरचं पॅनल त्यांनी निवडलं होतं, काही क्वेश्चन आन्सर्स असतील तर त्यावेळेस ते टीचर सगळे हँडल करत असायचे. The lowest class begin first, and it is obviously that as a student progress through their rank there is remarked development in their ability to express themselves. Mrs. Braithwaite's class being the oldest was last present their report. So last their presentation begin with lower classes, and Mrs. Braithwaite's their class became the last presentations. In that particular meeting, how much the student developed and their ability and their rank and progress, all these things discuss on that meeting. तर त्या मीटिंगमध्ये जास्तीत सुरुवातीला छोटे क्लास, नंतर मोठे क्लास आणि त्याच्यामध्ये विद्यार्थ्यांचं काय डेव्हलपमेंट झालं, काय ॲबिलिटी त्यांनी ग्रॅप केल्यात, या सगळ्या गोष्टींचा रँकिंगचं यांचा अभ्यास तिथं ते मीटिंगमध्ये ते सांगत असायचे. मिसेस जोसेफ बिगिन द हायली क्लास प्रोसिडिंग by classifying that common theme underlying all their students his term is interpreting of mankind. Joseph begin with their high class proceeding their common theme underlying their studying term interpreting the mankind. तर बऱ्याच गोष्टी मिसेस जोसेफने तिथं डिस्कस केल्यात आणि त्याच्यामध्ये क्लिअर की कोणत्या गोष्टी त्यांना त्या टर्ममध्ये गरजेचे होते, शिकणं गरजेचं होतं, त्या सगळ्या सांगितल्या. पॉटर स्पीक इन द फील्ड ऑफ मॅथ्स फोकसिंग हाऊ द ग्रेट अंडरस्टँडिंग द वर्ल्ड फोस्टेड by using the common weight and measures. So there is a Potter who speak on the maths and mainly focus on the great understanding of world, weight and measure. तर मिस्टर पॉटर तर त्यांनी मॅथ्स सब्जेक्टवरती बोललेत आणि त्याच्यामध्ये वेट अँड मेजर या कॉमन ज्या गोष्टी त्यांच्याबद्दल त्यांनी सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न केला. मिस पेग अँड जॅक अँड स्पीक ऑन जिओग्राफी. मिस डेअर अँड फर्नांड discuss in the subject of psychology, with Fernand telling how to exhibiting the model of human skeleton, tracing the classroom conclusion basically all people were the same. तर मिस पीक अँड जॅक्सन हे जिओग्राफी सब्जेक्टवरती, मिस डेअर्स अँड फर्नांड डिस्कस ऑन सायकोलॉजी सब्जेक्ट, फर्नांड स्टील ऑन एक्झिबिशन मॉडेल ह्युमन स्केल्टन, and basically all people were the same. अशा पद्धतीचं सगळं डिस्कशन तिथं चालू होतं. Mrs. Dodd report on history. Mrs. Joseph's domestic science. Denham creates the stir by speaking the required subject of PT games, complaining that class was ill-conceived and pointless. And Mrs. Dodd spoke a report on history and Miss Joseph domestic science, but there is some requirement also there in PT and games and complained about ill-conceived the point. तर डॉड हे हिस्ट्रीवरती बोललेत आणि जोसेफ हे डोमेस्टिक सायन्सवरती. डेनहम स्टीर त्यांनी काही रिक्वायरमेंट सांगितल्यात पी टी आणि गेम्स अँड कंप्लेन रिक्वायर्ड दॅन पी टी अँड कंप्लेन गेम्स. कंप्लेन क्लास वॉज इल रिसिव्ह अँड पॉइंटलेस. अशा सगळ्या गोष्टींवरती डिस्कशन चालू होतं. मिस्टर वेस्टन, मिसेस डेल इव्हॅन, मिस फिलिप्स आर चूजन द रँडम आन्सर स्टुडंट्स. Questioning arising from the senior presentations. There are some questions and that question are arising some problems and they can solve that particular man. काही क्वेश्चन जर सिनियर स्टुडंट्समधून प्रेझेंट अराईज झाले तर त्यांना उत्तर देण्यासाठी हे पर्टिक्युलरली पर्सन्स होते. When Denham pursued his inquiry the necessity requirement all students like take PT, Mr. Wilson respond the ridiculous, typing the bluster his ways out of the subject, offering no coherent arguments. So there is the particularly Denham pursue his inquiries necessity is requiring all students take the PT. तर त्यावेळेस पी टीचं सुद्धा गरज आहे अशा बद्दल डेनम यांनी ते माहिती परस्यू करण्याचं काम केलं. मिसेस वेस्टर्न रिस्पॉन्ड क्वाईट रिडिक्युलस मीन्स ही हॅज टू बी गिवन द रिस्पॉन्स व्हेरी रिडिक्युलसली लाफिंगली, trying to bluster his way out of subject and offering no coherent arguments. So there is no coherent argument between that subject. Unexpectedly, the quiet and hesitant Miss Phillips step and in given the sturdy defense on practice. Mr. Dunham knows that he has been outwitting, has no choice but respectfully crease his heated protest. Braithwaite is immensely satisfied with progress in the students of his class. So everyone reported their particular progress and their views and all these things. But in lastly, Braithwaite became very satisfied progress in the students in this class. तर सगळ्या गोष्टीचा रिपोर्ट वगैरे सांगणं चालू होतं, आर्ग्युमेंट चालू होते. त्याच्यात ब्रेथवेटला एक गोष्टीचा आनंद होता की मुलांमध्ये जे प्रोग्रेस झाले त्याच्याबद्दल तो आनंदी होता. ह्या गोष्टी आपल्याला सिनॉप्सिस ऑफ द एक्स्ट्रॅक्टमधून आपल्याला बघायला मिळतं. तसंच सर्वांचे सादरीकरण झाल्यानंतर आयत्या वेळी निवडलेल्या शिक्षकांनी पॅनल विद्यार्थ्यांच्या विचारलेल्या प्रश्नांना उत्तर देतात. या सत्रात मिस्टर वेन, मिसेस डेल इन्व्हान्स, मिस फिलिपाइन यांची निवड होते. डॅनहॅम शारीरिक शिक्षण आणि खेळ विषयावर बोलून गोंधळ उडवतो. हा विषय निरर्थक असून तो आरोग्यरित्या शिकवला जातो अशी तक्रार करतात. मिस वेस्टर्न चर्चेवर मात करून प्रयत्न करतात परंतु कोणताही युक्तिवाद करू नये आणि वेळी शांतता संकोच वाटणाऱ्या मिस फिलिपाइन अनपेक्षित पुढे येतात आणि संयमाने सामंजस्यपणे डेनहमला मागे टाकतात आणि आपली बाजू ठाम मानतात. डेनहम आणि आपला पराभव आनंदाने स्वीकारतात. ब्रेथवेट या वर्गातील विद्यार्थ्यांची प्रगती पाहून आनंदी होतात. दॅट इज वॉट द पर्टिक्युलर काइंड ऑफ द synopsis of the extract. Now our actual novel, the To Serve with Love, chapter 17. म्हणजेच प्रतिसर स्नेहपूर्ण अभिवादन असा अर्थ या लेसनचा या नॉवेलचा होतो. The half-year report of the Students' Council was on November 15th and was one of the important days in the calendar of Greenslade School. I have heard quite deal about this occasion and became excited as the children as the day approached. It was entire their day arranged, presented and controlled by them. I observed the activity of my class as they prepared for it, noted with pride and business-like way in which take all were allocated and fitted into neat program. There were whispered conferences with members of other classes arranged of it. On that day, there was no assembly. The children arrived the smart dresses, polished, and Mrs. Job and Denham, who seemed to be the important official of the occasion move about among their colleagues, ensuring that each one was ready to play his/her part. So, half-year report of the Student Council was on November 15. It was the important day of Green State School. There will be quite deal about the occasion. The children's days approach. Their arrangement presented control by them. I observed many activities, class prepared notice, pride, business-like, which allocated filtered neat programs. There whispers, conference members, and class arrangement of it, and there were no assembly at that day. The children allowed smile, dress, and polish. Joseph and Denham were seemed to be important official of the occasion. There are many colleagues. They are ready to play his parts. It means 15 नोव्हेंबर ग्रीन लेड स्कूलचा कॅलेंडरचा महत्त्वाचा दिवस होता, कारण त्या दिवशी स्टुडंटचा काउन्सिलचा सहामाहीचा अहवाल सादर केला जात होता. मी या दिवसाबद्दल खूप ऐकले होते, त्यामुळे जसा दिवस जवळ येत होता तशी मुलांप्रमाणे मलाही उत्कंठा वाढत होती. हा पूर्णपणे माझा, त्यांनी योजलेला, सादर केलेला आणि जबाबदारी पार पाडलेली दिवस असणार होता. माझा वर्ग ज्या प्रकारे तयार करीत होतो ते मी पाहत होतो. ज्या व्यावसायिक पद्धतीने मी कामाची वाटणी केली आणि आखीव कामाचा तयार केला, हे पण मला अभिमान वाटला. आणखी करत असताना इतर वर्गाच्या मुलांबरोबर हलक्या आवाजात त्यांच्या बैठकीही होत होत्या. त्या दिवशी असेंब्ली नव्हती. मुले रुबाबदार पोशाख घालून छान तयार होऊन आली होती आणि आजचे प्रसंगी महत्त्वाचा अधिकार असलेले मिस जोसेफ, डेनहॅम आणि इतर सदस्य आपली भूमिका पार पाडण्यास तयार होते याची खात्री करीत सर्वांमध्ये फिरत होतो. A bell was rang at 10 a.m. and everyone trooped into the auditorium to sit together in the classes. Miss Joseph and Denham, the two most senior students, sat on the stage, one on each side of Mr. Florian, who, as soon as everyone was seated and silent, stood and addressed the school. He spoke at the lengthy, reiterating the aims and policy of the school, an important contribution each child could make the furtherance of those aims. He gave the praise wherever it was indicated, but insisted that there was yet a great deal to be done by themselves toward a general improvement of conduct, cleanliness, the pursuit of knowledge. As I listened, I realized that this man was no one way removed from the school. This remark all showed that he identified himself with it and everyone in it. He then wished them success in the council meeting and left the stage to tremendous applause. The bell rang at 10 a.m. Everyone trooped in auditorium, sitting together their classes. Mrs. Jobs and Denham, the most senior students, they sat on the stage, and Mrs. Florian, who had seated in silence, stood to address the school. At that time, he spoke on the length, aim, and policy of the school, important contribution to the school, and gave the praise and indicate the great deals themselves towards them. Afterwards, improvement and conduct, cleanliness, persuade the knowledge. And he listened. The man no is removed from his school. He identified himself everyone in it. He wished and success the council meeting and left the stage. In that particular, in Marathi, 10 वाजता सकाळची घंटा वाजली आणि सर्वजण आपल्या वर्गांनुसार बसण्यासाठी सभागृहात गोळा झाले. स्टेजवर मिस्टर फ्लोरियन दोन्ही बाजूला वरिष्ठ विद्यार्थी मिस जोसेफ आणि डेनहॅम बसले. सर्व शांत बसताना फ्लोरियन उभे राहिले आणि त्यांनी शाळा संबोधन भाषणात केलाच. शाळेचे उद्दिष्ट, धोरणं, ध्येयांची पूर्तीसाठी प्रत्येक मुलाचे महत्त्वपूर्ण योगदान यावर भर देत ते बराच वेळ बोलले. जिथे शक्य होते त्या गोष्टी प्रशंसा केली, पण त्याचबरोबर प्रत्येकाचे आचरण, स्वच्छता, ज्ञान मिळण्याच्या प्रयत्नातून प्रत्येकाला स्वतःहून अजून खूप सुधारणा करायला हवी आहे यावर अधिक जोर दिला. त्याचे बोलणे ऐकताच मला जाणवले की हे गृहस्थ त्याच्या शाळेपासून मनाने जराही दूर नाहीत. त्याच्या बोलण्यावरून ते स्वतःशी आणि शाळेशी प्रत्येकाशी मनाने किती जोडले आहेत हे दिसून येत होते. नंतर त्यांनी सर्वांच्या परिषद बैठक, काउन्सिल मीटिंग यशस्वी होण्यासाठी शुभेच्छा दिल्या. टाळ्यांच्या कडकडाट व्यासपीठावरून रजा घेतली. The thing now moved quickly into gear. First, Mrs. Jones stood up and gave the short explanation of counseling purpose and its activity. Each class would report through its representative on the studies pursued during the half year began to after Easter. The representative having been chosen for each subject when all the classes had completed their report, the panel of teachers would be invited to occupy the stage and answer the question from the body, the hall, on matters arising out various reports. The section of panels as well as with everything else was entered at the discretion of the children, and no member of the staff knew either how many which teachers would be invited and seat. The report began with the lowest and youngest class first. These were the mainly 12-year-old who had joined the school and previous summer. Most of them were shy and rather frightened at the standing up before the entire school, but nevertheless they managed incredibly. They had been newly introduced to the difficulties of the seeking information of themselves, and their report was understandable rather short. So the things gear up, and firstly Mrs. Joseph stood up and explained about the council purpose and activities. Each class would be represented thoroughly. Study pursued the half year began with Esther, having chosen each subject, where all class complete their reports and would invite to the occupied stage and answer the question of body, hall matter arise the various reports. So children and no member of the staff knew either how many which teacher would be invited to sit. The lowest youngest class started first their report, and mainly 12-year-old had joined the previous summers, and most of the shy and frightened standing before the entire class, but they would be manage everything after practice and typically seeking information themselves. Their report and understanding rather short. पुढच्या हालचाली जलद गतीने होऊ लागल्या. सर्वप्रथम मिस जोसेफ उभ्या राहिल्या. त्यांनी परिषदेमागचा उद्देश, त्यांच्या कार्याविषयी थोडक्यात माहिती दिली. ईस्टर नंतर सुरू झालेल्या सामायिक सत्रात झालेल्या अभ्यासाविषयी प्रत्येक विषयानुसार निवडलेल्या प्रतिनिधींमार्फत अहवाल देईल. सर्व वर्गांचे अहवाल सादर करून झाल्यानंतर शिक्षकांनी एका समितीचे पॅनल व्यासपीठावर आमंत्रित केले जाईल आणि विविध अहवालातून समोर आलेल्या मुद्द्यांवर विचारण्यात येणाऱ्या प्रश्नांवर समितीकडून उत्तर दिले जाते. बाकी सर्व गोष्टींचा पॅनलची निवडही पूर्णपणे मुलांच्या निर्णयावर केली जाणार होती आणि किती कोणत्या शिक्षकांना व्यासपीठावर बोलवले जाईल याबद्दल शिक्षक वृंदातील स्टाफ कोणालाही सदस्यांना पूर्वकल्पना नव्हती. अहवालाचे सादरीकरण सर्वात लहान वर्गापासून सुरू झाले. या गटात 12 वर्षाची बहुतांश मुलं आदल्या वर्षीच उन्हाळी सत्रात शाळेत दाखल झाली होती. त्यापैकी बरेच विद्यार्थी संपूर्ण शाळेसमोर उभी राहायला बुजत होती, म्हणजे घाबरत होती, आणि तरीही त्यांनी कौतुक वाटावे इतके छान प्रकारे सादर केलं. स्वतःहून माहिती गोळा करण्यात अडचणींशी त्यांनी प्रथमतः ओळख होत होती आणि त्यामुळे अहवाल संक्षिप्तपणे असणे स्वाभाविक होते. So now today you will see that the theme of the novel, synopsis of the novel, and the starting part of the novel. Remaining part of this lesson you will be seen in another video. So today we will be stopped here. All students must be read this novel. The question definitely will be asked in that particular part of the novels. So you will be read and understand very well, find out new words and solve the question and answer also. Thank you.